we took over, kailan ho natin to, no? Kailan tayo nag-assume? As I remember, kailan lang tayo nag-ASEAN host, no? So when did we assume this?
I think it was within this year, Your Honor. First meeting po na which will involve us will be for the planning stage, November of 2025. Meron na po tayong magiging meeting, Your Honor.
Yeah, because naalala ko kailan lang tayo nag-host nito, Mr. Chair, no?
Opo, Your Honor.
And some ASEAN nations yung dapat mag-host, may gulo din. Sabi ko, bakit natin inassume? Parang tayo rin may gulo. Hindi pa naman. No? But kidding aside, sige po, probably aside from BID, PNP, lahat yan hihingi, no, for the ASEAN budget, no. So for DOJ, as far as DOJ, BID lang po ang may kailangan, no, for this 265 million. So
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much po, Your Honor.
We recognize the presence of Senator Lauren Legarda. Commissioner, ilan delegates ang ini-expect yung dumating dito sa Philippines? Anong number ang tinitignan ninyo? For ASEAN lang to, and this is a very important event for our country, no? Because it's not only ASEAN. Normally pumupunta rin dito yung mga friends of ASEAN, United States, Canada, Japan, Korea. So ilan ang estimated number of guests na pupunta dito?
Your Honor, wala pa pong binibigay na estimated number, but once we get that number, we will provide this office right away.
Oo, kasi kaya ko natanong yan, ang first experience nila dito will be immigration. Diba?
Opo, Your Honor.
Pagdating naman nila dito, paglabas ng eroplano, ang unang makikita nila is the immigration officer.
Opo, Your Honor.
So sana nga itong EBMIS natin, by that time ba, operational na yung mga electronic gates natin at that time? End of 2026, no? Mga November?
Yes, Your Honor. Based doon sa program po ng installation ng e-gates and pag-operate ng e-gates sa Terminals 1 and 3, ano po yan, by December or end of December.
So hindi aabot?
Nationwide po, baka po hindi umabot admittedly, Your Honor. But we have our immigration officers manning those international airports. So kung pumasok po ng Cebu, pumasok ng Clark, nandyan po kami para po ensure ang security po at control over our borders, Your Honor.
Pero yung e-gates na automated, hindi pa nila may experience yun. Yung mga delegates, hindi pa nila, here in Manila,
Meron pong may install na about 54 or 56 e-gates sa Terminals 1 and 3.
Okay.
So may experience na rin po nila.
May experience nila rin.
Opo,
So at least makikita nila na nakakasabay tayo sa other countries like Singapore, Korea. Ang nakita kong talagang walang tao is Dubai. Talagang you go in, you go out, wala kang kausap eh.
Your Honor, recently po nasa Korea po kami. As a brief backgrounder po, yung ating e-gates na presently ginagamit po natin only involves yung paglagay ng boarding pass. Dapat po yan, passport na. Ngayon, 2017 or 2018 pa po yun dito sa atin. Now, yung sa Korea po, nakita po namin, nung tinanong ko po, for the past 10 years, ilang beses kayo nagpalit? Mga 5 beses na po. So on the average, nagpapalit po sila every 2 years.
Kasi yung technology, mabilis.
Opo. And ang napansin ko po, Korea and Taiwan, yung kanilang mga ginagamit tsaka software, internally produced po eh. I think that's because of the security needs ng isang bansa. So it is our dream na sana po, eventually, ganun din po yung level na ma-reach natin. Not only do we have the hardware, but we have the software developed internally here in the Philippines. I think it's one thing to aim for.
Yeah, but this one we are investing in, itong 3 billion, that's hindi natin dinevelop yan. That's a package deal yan, I would assume, no?
Yes, Your Honor. Kasi po, syempre po, kailangan po ng warranties.
Yeah, yes.
Ang mga nagpo-produce lang po dyan sa ibang countries eh. Usually in Europe, yan. United States. Yan po yung mga countries na nagpo-produce po ng hardware na ganyan.
Alright.
Your Honor.
Okay. Well, yun na nga, no? ASEAN will be very important to us, and first Filipino contact nila will be the immigration officer.
Yes
So
po,
it's
Your
important that our immigration department is ready for the ASEAN event, no?
Yes, Your
Especially I'm sure trained naman yung ating mga immigration officer, but siyempre maraming mga security aspect ito na dapat rin nilang mapag-aralan. No?
Yes po, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I just have time. I just like to welcome the DOJ family. I used to chair this before the pandemic. Yes, and their new names and faces for everyone. As you know, or maybe you don't know, way back in my second term, I authored a very important piece of legislation and then amended it to expand it and to make it stronger, and that's the Expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act. The AYACAT, which is under the DOJ, I know that it is headed by the two heads of departments, DOJ and DSWD. Since we have an OIC secretary, first time I meet you, sir, I'd like to know who is in charge. But the way it's structured is kayo DOJ pantay, co-chair with DSWD, right? They're not over you. And you have an executive director. I'm not certain if this is the same ED from way back pre-pandemic, maybe not. Yes, baka bago. Napakahalaga sa akin ng batas na ito. May kasaysayan, may journey yan nung ako'y bata-bata pang mamamahayag bago pa siguro mapanganak ang marami sa inyo. Ang ina-advokasya ko, ang karapatan ng mga kabataan at kababaihan dahil gumawa ako ng dokumentaryo base sa isang inotor ng isang Pilipina in the 80s or 90s. They Are So Sweet, Sir. I wonder if that book is still in existence. It details the trafficking of Filipinas. And so, nung ako'y batang mamamahayag, pardon me for this story, this journey, nung ako'y batang mamamahayag in my 20s or 30s, naggumawa akong dokumentaryo tungkol sa pangangalakal ng Pilipinang babae at bata. At ako'y 37 years old na hinimok ni dating Pangulong Ramos na tumakbo bilang senador na ayokong-ayoko dahil ako'y mamamahayag, ay isa sa mga una kong panukalang batas na final at naipasa ay yung Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act na hindi naging matagumpay at hindi nasugpo ang pangangalakal ng bata, babae, maski lalaki. Kaya tumulong nung panahong yon sa aking pangalawang termino na ang DOJ, hindi ko maalala kung sinong head nun, maybe 2000, basta after 2010, naging expanded anti-trafficking. Sa bawat hearing taon-taon ng DOJ, tinatanong ko ang status, nakatulong yung bang batas or inutil ba yung batas na ginawa ko? Nasugpo pa natin ang pangangalakal ng bata at babae o walang nakukulong o walang nafa-file na kaso o laghanap dahil ang problema sinasabi sa akin ng DOJ, yung mga bansa kung saan sila dinadala ay hindi pareho ang ating batas or kulang ang ating pagmamasid. Having said that, pasensya na po, shortcut ko lang yung aking ilang dekadang advokasya. Mula sa paggagawa ng dokumentaryo at pag-i-interview, hindi pinapakita ang muka, ng mga biktima ng pangangalakal sa pamamagitan ng mga illegal recruiter, ng mga sindikato na dayuhan na may mga tanggapan dito. Kaya immigration, importante yan. At marami. Kaya ang mga sindikato, hindi lang ngayon natuklasan. 70s, 80s, nandyan na sila. And I'll go to that later in another question for the DOJ, for the immigration as well. So, may I know, OIC Secretary Frederick, talaga bang double D ang Frederick mo or wrong spelling kami? Double D, okay. Sige. Frederick Vida. May I know, sir, and you to tell me the truth.
Yes.
If my law is useless, I want to know. Because they told me my first law had no fangs, so I had to revise it. If it's useless, tell us our laws are useless so that we will revise it or we will look into the implementation in our oversight function so that we can help each other improve it.
Yes.
The important is the bottom line in terms of statistics and figures and lives
Same.
saved.
Yes.
Yes. May I know?
Yes.
So the structure now and the status.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Your Honor. We have our new executive director, Attorney Hannah Manalili. She's on the end of the no. She would be more astute and
To
factual.
hear your voice first. Since
Yes, of course.
first time I'm meeting you,
Yes.
even if you're new,
Yes, thank you.
Kung ano lang po ang alam ninyo tungkol, because are you
Yeah.
new in the department
No.
or you've been there for a long time?
I've been with the department for almost 3 years.
Okay,
Your
so
Honor.
you're familiar with
Yes,
the law.
Yes.
And I'd like to hear from your ED, but I would like to hear from the secretary. Thank you.
Basically, many initiatives have been done by the Department of Justice, being the co-chair of the Interagency Council. We've maintained basically this Tier 1 ranking. So we maintained it for the past 10 years. So basically,
Pag tier 1, ipaliwanag mo para, kasi hindi naman lahat nakakaintindi tier 1. Ibig sabihin, maigting ang ating batas or ating pag-implement or pareho?
pareho po. Yung ating pong batas at ang ating masugid na inisyatibo para maproteksyonan yung mga dapat proteksyonan.
Mas mataas pa ba na tier?
Ito na po ang
Ito na.
pinakamataas.
Okay, masasabi natin, kung hindi ko ginawa yung batas, nagyayabang nga, pero kailangan sabihin yung totoo. Kung di natin ginawa yung batas noong 2010 at inamendahan noong 2012 or 13, ay hindi siguro tayo tier 1 ang ranking.
Sigurado po yun.
Bakit parang ang dami pa rin nabibiktima? Sige, anyway, you continue what you're saying. Thank you.
Ang balakit na malaki po dito is yung enormity of especially po yung social media po ngayon. These are new challenges, no? That we continue. Ang problema po yung tulad po ng paglabag sa batas, laging kailangan mas creative sila. So we need to also to be creative and to be adaptive so that we will be able to challenge yung mga bagong modus.
Para maiakma natin sa batas.
May I
Hindi, gusto
ask?
pa marinig ang tinig mo.
Okay.
Kung, hindi.
Opo.
No, okay lang kasi
Yeah,
bago
opo.
at bata yung
Sige po.
sekretaryo. Okay lang po.
Opo.
So, sa pagkakaalam mo sa batas ay nakatulong pero may bagong
Ang mga challenge
creative
po ngayon,
challenges.
yung deepfake po, hindi na po natin alam kung yung talagang lumalabas na materyales ay hindi ho tunay na individual. Yan po ang mga nagiging opo.
Aking kasi batas noong 2010, syempre hindi pa ganito ang digital platform. Ay hindi ka ako sigurado kung sinama ang pagtatraffic, pangangalakal sa online. Pinapacheck ko ngayon. Baka dapat ay hindi pa. Kasi sinulat ko yon 1998, naipasa ko. Look at how long it is. 98 ko ginawa or 99. Nung bago akong senador, unang termino, naipasa ko. Nung pangalawa kong termino, nairibas ako sa ending ng pangalawa ko or baka sa simula ng aking pangatlong termino. I mean, ganong kahaba. Kaya that's so close to my heart. And I still hear about abused and trafficked persons. At saka hindi ko ginawang anti-trafficking in women and children. I believe it's in person. So pati ang mga lalaki kasi, pati LGBT, pati mga lalaki na bibiktima dito, hindi lang babae at bata. So you'll pass it on to your ED already? Okay, thank you, Secretary. Bago lang si ED or nag-usap na ba tayo, ED?
Bago lang po as Executive Director, Your Honor.
Okay.
With the permission of the OIC Secretary, magandang hapon po, Mr. Chair and Honorable Senator Lauren Legarda. First of all, we affirm that the law is very useful and in fact, it is one of our strongest suit, our legislation. Isa po ito sa mga nire-recognize sa ASEAN at globally na malaking bagay sa pagsugpo ng human trafficking ng Pilipinas at karamihan po sa ating mga karatig bansa bansa, ating mga ASEAN neighbors ay tumitingin po sa kung paano ginagawa ng Pilipinas ang pagsugpo ng human trafficking. At nangunguna po doon ay yung ating batas. At kino-confirm ko po then, Your Honor, na kasama po sa amended 2022 law na qualified trafficking when it's trafficking in persons committed with the use of information and communications technology. So, malaking bagay po na nakita na ng ating mga legislator ang wisdom sa pagpataw ng mas mabigat na parusa kapag po ginagamit ang online platforms sa pag-commit ng crime of trafficking.
I-clarify ko lang, no? Kasi syempre noong 2010, wala pa yung online. And then I revised it to amended, expanded. Noong 2022 ba, na-revisa namin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Baka ibang batas yun na magko-complement.
It's the expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2022 po. Yun ang pinakahuli pong amendment.
Na-revise ulit natin. Okay. So sinama na yung online.
Sinama na po.
Could you just so that we can have the legislative history but also give it to us. So may I request the original law, ano yung butas? Tapos alam ko yun actually walang fangs masyado. In-expand ko 2013 yata.
Yes,
Sino
Your
ang nasa DOJ nung mga panahon yun? Anyway, tapos mahaba ang panahon 2022 wala ako dito noong 2022. Na-expand natin
Na-expand po.
further.
Yes po.
Ang pangangalakal pagbebenta sa online, sakop na.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Pero pag aabuso, pag hinuhubaran ng mga bata, hindi yan. O sinakop ko ba yon? O sinakop ba namin yon? Or kung hindi siya na padala sa ibang bansa at online lang ang pagbebenta, nasama ba yan?
Your Honor, nasama po sa 2022 amendment at para mas palakasin pa po at patibayin ito, pinasa rin po ang Republic Act 11930 or the Anti-OSAIC and CSAM Act na layunin talagang tugunan yung issue ng online sexual abuse and exploitation of children.
Kasi yun ang aram ko na ipasa yung parallel law. Pero sa pangangalakal, dati kasi, noong 2010, yung una ko, 2007 pa nga yata, ay physical na pangangalakal. Pero tama si OIC Frederick Double D. Okay, ba't ba ako na ano sa spelling? Ay iba na creative ways, maaring mga lakal na hindi physical na dinadala. So I want to read that provision in 2022 to ensure na, pero sure kayo nag-i-implement. Sakop
Yes, Your Honor.
yung pangangalakal maski hindi dinadala yung bata kung saan.
Yes po. Sigurado po.
Bata, babae, lalaki, LGBT, whatever.
Yes po.
Covered.
Kino-consider pa nga po na napakataas na antas ng human trafficking at mapapatawan po ng life imprisonment kapag ang biktima po ay minor de edad at ito ay ginawa sa pamamagitan ng information and communications technology.
Hindi sa OSAIC ito, sa expanded anti-trafficking.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, para lang sigurado tayo, merong mahirap na magulang na bola at hindi naintindihan, na hindi naman daw kasi mahahawakan yung anak, ay binenta, may bayad sa pagkuha ng letratong hindi maganda, sabihin mo ng ganon. At napakita yung letrato sa isang customer o dayuhan at nagbayad sa, yung middleman. Masasako po yun o hindi?
Sakop po.
Okay. So I feel good na nasakop nung expanded. Then maybe you can give us ano pang butas ng batas o baka naman sa implementasyon ang naging problema. So, can you give us some figures or the challenges na sinasabi ninyo na dapat pang gamutin at ilan ba ang mga bata o biktima na na-save natin dahil maigting na implementasyon ng ating batas?
Thank you. With the permission, I will continue with the response to the question. So, unang-una po, gaya ng nasabi kanina, meron po tayong matibay na mga batas or legislative framework na hindi lamang nagpapataw ng parusa doon sa actual na gumamit po ng material or nag-consummate ng crime of trafficking. Pinapatawan din po natin ng parusa yung mga nagfa-facilitate or yung kumikita sa pamamagitan ng pag-traffic. So, napakalaking bagay po nito gaya nung sa issue nung trafficking sa Pogo Hubs dahil nafa-filean po natin ang kaso, hindi lamang yung nag-employ o yung talagang management nung Pogo Hub, but gayon na rin po yung mga lessor ng property at yung mga kinikilalang nag-facilitate or nagpakilala or nag-recruit. So isa po yun sa mga layers na sinisiguro natin na lahat ng mga sangkot doon sa krimen ng trafficking ay mapapatawan ng parusa. Doon naman po, yes, Your Honor.
Salamat at binanggit niyo ang Pogo dahil dalawa sa pinakamaigting na advocate laban sa Pogo ay nandito ngayon, yung chair at saka si Sen JV. Maari po niyong ikumpirma sa amin, tama ba o mali, na ang network ng criminal syndicates ng Pogo ay trafficking syndicates din at hindi lang gambling. Hindi lang illegal gambling, pero ito'y mas malalim pang sindikato na ginagamit ang sindikato ng online gambling pero sa pangangalakal ng mga tao, whether face-to-face or live na dinadala or ginagawang slaves or ginagawang subject for online exploitation. Just to validate what we learned in hearings of the previous years.
Yes, Your Honor. We confirm actually hindi lamang po trafficking na crime ang involved sa mga sindikatong ito. Base sa aming investigasyon at yung mga report na natatanggap sa pamamagitan ng ating mga victim survivors, meron din pong ibang krimen na ginagawa ng mga sindikato gaya ng money laundering, torture, murder, kidnapping, and illegal detention. So, sanga-sanga na po yung krimen na ginagawa ng mga sindikato sa likod ng krimen na ito at nagiging isa yung trafficking sa mga ginagamit nila para makakuha ng mas maraming tao at mas mapilit sila at malagay sa sitwasyon na sila mismo yung gagawa ng krimen para dito sa mga nagtatagong sindikato na ito.
Ilan na po ang inyong nasagip na mga persons, regardless kung bata, babae, or what, sa pangangalakal?
Your Honor, sa 2024 data po namin, lumalabas na more than 2,000 victims of trafficking have been rescued. And this year, as of September 2025, nakakabahala po yung numero ng mga na-repatriate na biktima ng trafficking sa ibang bansa. More than 800 po as of September 2025, which represents triple the number from last year. So isa po ito sa mga malaking isyong kinakaharap natin at marami pa po, no, alam ko po marami po sa ating mga senador at ating ding mga opisyal ng gobyerno ang nakakatanggap ng report na humihingi ng tulong na masaklolo. So marami pa po tayong natatanggap na impormasyon at report para po magpa-rescue ang ating mga kababayan.
Anong mga bansa ang red flag, so to speak, na dapat ingatan natin na dinadala ang mga traffic victims live? Ibig sabihin, talagang sila ang pupunta. Pangalawa, anong mga bansa ang customers pag sa online abuse pero trafficking din sakop ng ating expanded na batas?
Your Honor, regarding po doon sa trafficking ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino, particularly yung mga forced and exploited for criminality or scamming, meron pong 3 bansa sa Asia na nangunguna. So ito po ay fina-flag namin sa Bureau of Immigration na maigting pong pinapatupad ang ating border control and management para po mapigilan, no, dito pa lamang po sa ating bansa sana na hindi na sila makalabas dahil nga po sa ating recognition na pag nakalabas na po sila ng bansa, mas may limitado po ang ating enforcement and jurisdiction. So, closely po, we're coordinating with the Bureau of Immigration to constantly monitor this information at gayon na rin po yung mga red flags ng mga maaaring maging biktima ng human trafficking.
Is it a national security risk or even a diplomatic issue if you name the countries? That's why you're being careful. Can you just give me the confidential report later? I will not put it online.
Yes.
I just need to know. Pero bakit nagpupunta at paano nakakalusot? Is this through POEA, through OWA? Paano yun? Sila recruit? Are they recruited legally and then traffic there? How do they do it?
Base po sa aming monitor data, Your Honor and Mr. Chair, kadalasan po nagagamit po no, dahil po visa-free entry sa ASEAN. So nakakalabas po gamit ang batayan na turismo, yun po ang nagiging basehan. At isa na rin po sa nabanggit ni Mr. Chair kanina, yung issue po ng mga labasan sa dakong southern part ng Pilipinas. So isa rin po ito sa nagiging point of entry or point of exit rather, palabas ng bansa na hindi limitado po ang ating regulation, bagamat tinatauhan po ng Bureau of Immigration lahat po ng main ports at gayon din po ang iyakat, meron po tayong task forces. Kaya lang po gaya ng geographic make-up of the Philippines, no, marami pong ports, hindi lamang public ports but private ports o yung mga isla na maaaring makalabas ng bansa gamit ang maliliit na bangka.
Thank you for that. Anong lugar naman sa Pilipinas ang laganap pumunta or madalas pinupuntahan ng mga sindikatong nagre-recruit para sa pangangalakal ng mga tao?
Your Honor, yan pong issue na yan, medyo nahihirapan na po kaming i-determine dahil online na po talaga ang kanilang ginagawang recruitment. So, ang base na lamang po sa aming impormasyon, karamihan pa rin po ng nagiging biktima ay nakabase sa National Capital Region at sa mga karatig bayan. Pero kung saan po naglalagay ang mga sindikato, mahirap na pong matukoy dahil nasa online na po talaga ang recruitment.
Simply put, how do we prevent our innocent people from being praise, P-R-E-Y, praise of traffic? How do you advise possible victims against trafficking? Kailangan meron tayong maalituntunin, di ba? Kasi hindi naman lahat nakapag-aral, iba naghahanap ng oportunidad sa trabaho, ang online, hindi mo alam kung anong dapat gawin. Anong abiso ninyo?
Pangunahin na po nun, prevention and education pa rin po. Karamihan po talaga sa ating mga nabibiktimang kababayan, hindi kulang pa po yung safeguards, hindi pa po nila natitiyak na lehitimo o hindi ilehitimo yung kanilang nagiging recruiter. So isa pa rin yan sa mga isinusulong natin na matulungan tayo ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno gaya ng DepEd at yung mga LGUs na palakasin yung edukasyon at economy sa mga local communities para po hindi maging prone to exploitation ng ating mga kababayan. Pangalawa po, no, isa rin po yung hinihikayat namin talagang mapagtibay yung role ng DICT sa pagsugpo ng issue ng human trafficking dahil ito pong kalaban po natin nasa online platform na kaya po yung karampatang solusyon at pag-responde natin ay dapat maging keep up din with the advancement in technology. So, isa po sa mga issue na kinakaharap natin, paano po natin matutulungan ang ating mga kababayan na mag-spot ng mga fake advertisement, fake job offers, at para rin po matulungan silang ma-filter out yung mga ganong advertisements.
Sana meron kayong grassroots na information drive sa mga barangay, lalo na sa mga lugar na maraming turista. At alam naman natin pag alam ng barangay captain, kilala nila mga tao, barangay officials, diba? May vowsy naman dyan Diba sa barangay officials, ano nga, alam niyo, local, may vowsy, may justice, yung head ng justice, lupon. May lupon, yun. Yung mga naging kong at naging mayor, alam niyo yung mga may lupon. Yun, kung sino yung head ng vowsy sa barangay at head ng lupon, yun ang pwedeng magkaroon kayo ng IEC. Oo, lalo na sa mga i-target nyo yung mga lugar na madalas puntahan ng turista para alam nila yung red flags. Pero physical yun. Pero sa online, maybe have an online platform also, so fight them where they are, na ito ang mga red flags. And I would like to see ano yung mga red flag. Kasi hindi mo alam kung sinong nagte-text na sa'yo or nag-Facebook sa'yo o naki-friend sa kanila, hindi nyo alam Nakakatakot talaga. So, tumaas ngayong taon. So may dahilan. Bakit tumataas? Bakit kaya? Eh may batas tayo. So tier 1, yan ang palaisipan ko eh. Tier 1 tayo sa Asia. Pero tumataas ang biktima. Wala silang takot. Bakit kaya?
Your Honor, dun lang po sa issue ng grassroots community awareness. So meron din po tayong pinapatupad na barangay iyakat. Ito po ay talagang nakatuon doon sa mga local communities dahil natukoy po natin na kapag aware at empowered yung community, no, mas nagkakaroon po ng tulungan at information sharing doon pa lamang sa komunidad at nagiging susi rin ito, no, sa pag-identify ng mga potential victims and perpetrators. Pangalawa po doon po sa issue ng pagtaas ng bilang, malaking element pa rin po. Sa kabilang banda, malaking bagay po na mas marami tayong natutulungang biktima. Posible po kasi na dati, marami pong victims of online sexual abuse or exploited children and mga cross-border trafficking pero hindi pa lang po sila nasasakop doon sa reporting. So isa rin po sa mga malaking bagay na pagtaas ng bilang ay reported po ang kanilang mga kaso at ibig sabihin nito natutugan na natin as opposed to yung nakatago po, no, sa mga kanilang mga pamilya at bahay. Yun naman po sa issue ng kung bakit patuloy pa rin, malaking bagay rin po at epekto dito yung regular migration. So, isa pa rin po tayo sa mga bansa na sources of migrant workers. So, dapat na lang po talaga natin ding ipalaganap kung paano yung lehitimong pagkuha ng trabaho sa labas ng bansa.
Are there government agencies, officials, staff enabling trafficking? Is corruption in government being used, or is government part of it? Nangyayari ba yan? Because in a U.S. trafficking in persons report, there is either a part of a report or an insinuation, and which government agency must we watch out for to ensure we or government agencies are not part of the web of syndicates and corruption, and we should, in fact, delineate the line, or baka naman napasukan ng sindikato. I just wanted to clarify the U.S. TIP report.
Yes, Your Honor. We confirm na may findings ang US TIP report as to the connection of corruption with facilitating human trafficking. And following the recommendation of the US TIP report, isa po ito sa mga tinutukoy natin na tinututukan kung meron pong mga opisyal ng gobyerno or employees who are facilitating human trafficking. In fact po, sa ilalim ng amended Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act, mas malaki rin po ang parusa or mas malalim ang parusang ipapataw kung ang involved po sa trafficking ay government official. So again, nasa batas po natin ito at mapagtibay. Doon naman po sa implementation, pinapalaganap din natin yung awareness at nag-issue ang iyakat ng guidelines to all government agencies para po maging katuwang natin, no, sa pagsugpo ng human trafficking at kung meron pong nagfa-facilitate ng trafficking sa kanilang mga opisina, napatawan po ng administrative charges at criminal charges.
Perhaps hindi dapat dito sa open hearing. I would like to have a private or even executive session with OIC Sec Frederick with a double D and ED Manalili. Oo, hindi kasi yes. About this. At siguro si Darlene, sama, si Soljen. Alam naman niya, kilala niya ako from bata kami, yung advokasya ko to. So that I want the law implemented. And government, we should not allow people in government or even government to be used. It really hurts me so much and I cannot imagine So, the U.S. report, the U.S. will not report it unless there's basis. And I'd like to know more of this report. In short, yung laman ng report na ito. I'm sure you know it. You just can't say it now. Yes. Which agency? What are the cases? Who? What? And I will file the necessary resolution to be referred to the appropriate Senate committee. And yes. So this is part of our duty as authors of laws from way back, and as women leaders of our country. Yeah. So thank you for your answer. Magaling si ED. Yes. Bago ka
Maraming-
lang sa Yakat.
I've been with IACAT for 3 years.
Okay.
Recently
Yes.
took up the role of the executive director. Maraming salamat po, Senator Lauren. and
Senator Lauren,
Mr.
just to
Chair.
add,
Yes.
yung kanina na pag-usapan natin na we plan to increase the budget of AYACAT. And AYACAT is a task force, di ba? Tama ba?
Mr.
The
Chair,
Interagency task force, is that the right description?
Mr. Chair, it's a council composed
Interagency
of
council.
28 government and non-government organizations. So, chairperson po ang Department of Justice at kami rin po ang namumuno doon sa task forces.
Okay. But hindi kayo yung enforcers. Hindi kayo yung nanguhuli, di ba?
Not primarily, Senator,
So you
but we
coordinate-
are augmenting and coordinating.
You coordinate with all the different agencies. So, how will the increase in budget help decrease incidences of human trafficking?
Mr. Chair, with the permission of OIC
Kasi maganda yung
Secretary.
kanina sabi ni Secretary, yung absorptive capacity. That's a very important kasi this is an interagency council, not the enforcement. No, so, but we want to help, no? Kami, Senator Lawrence, Senator JV, because advocacy namin to. But how will the increase in budget decrease incidences of human trafficking?
First of all po, maraming salamat sa all-out support talaga sa advokasya at misyon ng anti-trafficking. Second, yung dun po sa pagtaas ng budget, marami po kasing mga ahensya, even NBI, NBI, ang nakadepende po sa augmentation ng IACAT funding pagdating sa mga operasyon. So, gaya na lamang po nung kung meron po tayong intelligence report na natanggap na may lalabas ng bansa gamit ang mga illegal migration routes, tayo po ang nagpapadala ng pondo rin sa mga informants and sa ating agents na pupunta po doon mismo para mag-intercept. I understand that we are heavily dependent on our law enforcement units, the NBI and the PNP. But wala po kasing nakalaan na specific budget para sa trafficking sa ilalim ng kani-kanilang mga ahensya. Kaya pagdating po sa pag-augment ng kanilang mga pangangailangan, doon po pumapasok ang IACAT under the leadership of the Department of Justice.
How about yung naalala ko tuloy, Senator Lawrence, sa ibang bansa, like sa, I think in Western countries, pag nag-CR ka, doon sa likod ng pinto, merong advertising doon. Sa airport, actually, sa airport. Diba? Kung if you are a victim of human trafficking, call this number. Linalagay nila sa banyo kasi yung mga human trafficked victims, pag nagbabanyo, doon lang sila nakaka-report. But ito yung mga countries na yung countries na meron human trafficking incidences. Tayo kasi yung victim no? So how do tayong source or tayo yung na-victimize? And I believe education is very important. No? Who among the agencies is tasked in the council to do information drive? Dahil ako, my first-hand experience ako, tina-target nila mga senior high school secretary kasi yan yung mga adolescents yan at hindi nila alam kung ano yung nangyayari sa labas ng Pilipinas. So yung tina-target nila. When I was a mayor, naalala ko yung tina-target nila. But that can be countered with information campaign. So who among the agencies? Is it AYACAT? Is it sinong agency?
Sa ilalim pa rin po ng IACAT, Mr. Chair, pero ang lead po in terms of information and awareness campaign ay yung Commission on Filipinos Overseas. So, nakasaad din po ito sa ilalim ng batas. And we also support the CFO in their information drive and campaign. At maliban po dito, meron din po tayong inisyatibo na pakikipag-partner sa mga local government units through the Barangay IACAT led by the Department of Justice.
AYACAT do, let's say, a online campaign against human trafficking, let's say lang kung may, ito lang kung merong kasi nakita ko kung, let's say, nagvi-victimize sila, tapos gusto nila, merong nag-advertise, o trabaho sa Cambodia, tapos ito yung trabaho, pero alam naman natin, baka ito, yung mga scam centers, di ba? Or mga human trafficking centers. can AYACAT, first of all, number one, detect those and report those advertising that are victimizing Filipinos? And then number two, pwede nyo ba i-counter yan by coming up with your own online campaign to stop yung mga ganitong mga fake online campaigns?
Pwede po magsagawa yung IACAT ng counter online awareness campaign. At pangalawa po, meron din po tayong medyo maliit pa lang po na unit ngayon, yung Cyber Tip Operations Monitoring Division, na isa po sa mga tungkulin nila ay mag-surveillance online. So hindi lamang po sa issue ng online sexual abuse or exploitation of children, pero maging itong mga issue na rin po ng fake job advertisements and even yung illegal adoption and baby selling na laganap rin po online. So sa ngayon po, nasa ilalim po ng NCC o SAIC-CSAM ang ating Cyber Tip Operations Unit, and hopefully po with the support of your excellencies, mapalaki pa po at mapagtibay natin yung unit na ito dahil isusulong po talaga nito yung ating pagresponde sa pamamagitan ng digital platforms din.
Augmentations that we want, amendment na gagawin natin para mapalaki yung online presence ng AYACAT and yung national coordinating, yung OSAM?
Yes, yes.
Yun ang gusto natin palakihin yung presence. No? So, yung mga i-amend natin to improve your budget, sana malagay natin doon, Secretary, kasi yun, dyan talaga naghahanap ng biktima online. No?
Dito ho sa paglatag ho ng iba't ibang programa, tatlo po ang key education, deterrence, and prevention. So sa iba't ibang aspeto po, malaking bagay po talaga yung programa sa IEC, no? Sa Information and Education Campaign. Hindi lang ho sa plataforma ng online, no? Pati na rin ho sa grassroots. Kasi meron nga po kaming may mga program po. Ito po inisyatibo pero nakita po namin maganda sa Catanduanes po. Yung amin pong provincial prosecutor doon, in enhancing protection of children, nag-open lang siya ng forum. Okay? After po nung forum niya, and I like to mention our provincial prosecutor Santua, it was her own initiative. Marami hong lumapit kasi hindi pa nila alam biktima na sila. Opo, may mga pamamara, hindi, we will discuss it with you. Oho. Kaya nga how we enhance, how we can definitely po. Ang tatlo pong bahagi kasi talaga para rin ng korupsyon education, prevention, and deterrence.
This is one of the highest or biggest national security issues. Kasi it really runs into the fabric of our society. It's children, minors, it's women, and men as well, LGBT. So, it's, yeah. So, and the criminal syndicates don't appear like traffickers. They use other means. Perhaps pogo, perhaps business, iba-iba. Yeah. You're supposed to have, under my original law, NGOs as part of the, sino ang NGO nyo? Women NGO.
Women NGO po ay ang international, ang World Vision.
World Vision.
World Vision.
Kasi meron dapat kayong private sector, women, overseas Filipinos, and children. Sino yung inyong tatlong representante sa tatlong yun?
Madam, we have World Vision, International Justice Mission for Children, and Las Ople Center for Overseas Filipino Workers.
ICJ. I work with them. You know, Mr. Chair, just to share with these two younger senators, since the late 70s and 80s, this has been my advocacy. And as a young senator in 1998, who has been in the Senate since then, it was one of the first bills I filed, and I'm still, I feel very strongly about this because if I may share, as a young journalist and documentarist, I would interview and meet children who were trafficked, and but of course we would cover the faces. This was 80s. I wish I could find my documentaries, investigative reports that I would do on trafficked women and children. Yeah. So I'll try to find. I don't know if, siyempre mga traffic. Then, if I may share, I even raided trafficking dens. Ganun ako katapang nun, JB. Oo. Rumraid ako, kasama ng police. No, I would call the local police or what. Wala pang digital nun. Ako si ABS-CBN. Dala ko cameraman at saka ako reporter. I-raid namin. Kasama ako. Ano pa ako nun? Matapang. 1980s. I remember that. And maybe I should research my scripts at the time. They were all hard copy. I had a list of all traffickers. And if I may share, and when I ran for the Senate in 98 up to 204, they tried to block me and black propaganda. I don't know how. There was no online yet. And then, I was a young senator. We raided a den somewhere in the south. Yeah, I won't say where. It was in an exclusive village. Basta ganun. And they tried to black prop me on Facebook. May Facebook na nun. I just wanted to tell you the history of this because it's been my advocacy since I was in my teen or early, in my journalism days, when I started journalism in the early 80s. So, and I know that it's one of the top 3 national security issues of our country. Because when there's trafficking, there's drugs, there's criminality, there's all of this. Yeah. So we can have an executive session on that, and please let us know the support needed. I just want to put on record the U.S. Trafficking in Persons report. I'll read it verbatim, and I quote, hindi po galing sa akin ito. Some officials in law enforcement, immigration agencies, and other government entities are allegedly complicit in trafficking or allow traffickers to operate with impunity, unquote. I did not say this. It disturbs me. This is the latest report. So, kung tayo'y napasukan sa ating ahensya ng gobyerno, this is a very big national security issue. The Immigration Commissioner is here. Yes, I wonder, Commissioner, is this a major issue that you are tackling, sir? And have you been in immigration for a long time? Are you aware of this problem? And do we actually have child traffickers or persons, trafficking in persons or traffickers, for that matter, employed by government or even casual hires? I want to know. And if it's a national security issue, we can have another meeting, but it will be executive session on trafficking. It's a very serious national security issue. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Senator, and with the permission of our OIC Secretary. We reaffirm our commitment to the anti-trafficking efforts of our government, Your Honor. And the greatest ally in our fight against human trafficking is the law that you crafted, Your Honor. In 2022, the Bureau of Immigration turned over 392 potential victims to the Interagency Council Against Trafficking. In 2023, it was 726. In 2024, it was 1,070. Addressing the issue concerning the complicity of certain immigration officials, 42 immigration officers were endorsed to the Department of Justice for investigation. We are constantly on the lookout for officers who might be participants in this heinous crime, Your Honor. And we continually address that. We are not apologists. There are certain immigration officers, and they are under investigation.
Thank you for that, Commissioner.
Welcome, Your Honor.
Yes, you seem knowledgeable about this law and the issues surrounding it. And I will stop there because it has to be discussed in an executive session. It's a national security, major national security issue. Because where there's trafficking, there's drugs. And where there's drugs, there's everything else. Yeah. So I'll stop there. Mr. Chair, I have another question. Do I have time before I go to my next?
Go ahead, Senator
Yes.
Lauren.
Another advocacy would be on stateless persons. Sino kayo makausap ko nun on stateless persons? Many years ago, alam nyo, ito lang, I amended the budget. Tuwan-tuwa yung agency or bureau under DOJ dahil napansin daw sila at dati maliit ang budget, naglagay ako ng budget na empower sila. Sino ba sila nun? Kayo. Attorney Chan, kayo rin. No.
Yes, Madam Senator.
It was still you who came to me?
Yes,
Ikaw
Madam
pa rin nun.
Senator. I believe it was around December of 2023 when we
2023
personally.
budget.
Yes.
Nakatulong ba?
yes,
Ito,
Madam
tatapusin, babasahin ko lang yung tanong ko. Nandiyan ka pa rin. Kayo ba yon? Sana may isa-isay naman yung amendment ko sa budget nyo. Sige po, babasahin ko lang ha. The Department of Justice houses the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit, the government's primary office for handling refugee and statelessness cases in the Philippines. The RSPPU is responsible for determining refugee and stateless status, issuing official documentation, coordinating with agencies such as the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Bureau of Immigration, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees to ensure protection and legal stay for qualified individuals. The Philippines, one of the first countries in Southeast Asia to accede to relevant conventions and refugee protection, has been recognized by the UNHCR as a regional model for refugee protection and continues to process applications from displaced individuals, including Palestinian nationals seeking refugee amid the ongoing conflict, although I'm glad that there is a ceasefire now. So we introduced an amendment to a previous GAA to augment the budget for the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit. Ayun. 8.9 million, I think. Yeah. And then I made a statement on the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, condemning the unlawful military offensive across the occupied Palestinian territory, etc. And so, I'd just like to know, can the department please provide an update on the Philippines Refugee and Stateless Persons Program, particularly on how it is supporting applicants from Palestine and other areas under the ongoing humanitarian crisis. This is to seek clarity on the progress and priorities of the country's refugee protection efforts, especially in assisting displaced Palestinian and other nationals. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Senator. To reiterate, the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit extends its sincerest appreciation to the Madam Senator for the introduction of or the augmentation of the budget of the DOJ to the extent of close to 9 million, which was earmarked specifically for the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit. With the budget that the good senator allotted for the unit, we were able to conduct several orientations and trainings to various government agencies, which under Executive Order 163 Series of 2022 were mandated to provide protection services to asylum seekers, not just to refugees and stateless persons, but to asylum seekers in general. And fortunately, Madam Senator, a lot of government agencies are now made aware as to the plight of these individuals. Now, specifically with respect to the Palestinian nationals that entered the country, I believe sometime in early 2024, some have already applied for recognition as a refugee, while some did not push through with their applications for recognition as refugee. What we gathered from them, Madam Senator, was that they still intended to return to Palestine when the situation stabilizes or normalizes. For those that have already applied for recognition, a handful were already recognized as refugees. This would entitle them to the issuance of a machine-readable travel document that will allow them to travel freely in and out of the country. They were also given 47B visa that would legalize their stay in the country. Unfortunately, also, Madam Senator, the services or the protection that we can provide is only very limited. Case in point is if a person of concern would be needing medical assistance, we would most likely refer them to the DOH or to any public hospital for medical assistance. For financial assistance, we would refer them to the DSWD. Due to certain limitations on the expenditure of our or on how we can use our budget, we cannot directly provide them the necessary financial assistance. If the committee, if the good senator and the honorable chair will allow us, the Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Unit would also like to introduce or recommend proposals on how we can be a better, on how we can maximize the budget that will be given to the unit, so that aside from just conducting trainings to make our government officials know about the plight and situation of these persons of concerns, we could also be able to extend effective and real assistance and protection services to these individuals, Madam Senator.
Is the end goal? I mean, you said you needed support. Oo. How do we deal? First, can you kindly differentiate for us para lang maliwanag ang ating refugees and stateless status? Isa ba yan o iba yun eh? Iba yung stateless, iba yung refugees.
They are
Please
different.
differentiate. And
Yeah.
ano ang kanilang status, ang end goal? Yun ang tanong ng chair. Thank you.
An individual is considered a refugee, Mr. Chair, if he or she meets the qualifications under the 1951 Refugee Convention. Essentially, this person is claiming persecution from his or her mother country, religion, gender, political opinion, membership in a particular social group, and race. Whereas a person is considered stateless if by virtue of the laws of a country, he or she does not have any citizenship or nationality. So thankfully, in the Philippine context, we do not have statelessness because we have sufficient laws to address possible issues of statelessness. However, we do have populations at risk of statelessness, and these are the Sama Badjaus, the itinerant population who rely on fishing as their mode of living. So they would be mostly out in the waters whenever someone is whenever someone is born. They're not able to register this person's birth, resulting in them not being are at risk of being statelessness and hence unable to avail of the services offered by the government.
The Sama Badjaus are Filipinos, but how can they be considered or at risk of being stateless? Why don't we reach out so that they can be registered?
There are efforts, Madam Senator.
IEC, di ba?
Yes, if I recall, Madam Senator, the Philippine Statistics Authority was able to go to the nearest civil registry that has jurisdiction over the Sama Badjaus and have been rolling out civil registration projects. It just has not been done as frequently as we would have hoped because it would depend on manpower and budget resources.
now I discovered that, can you give us a report on stateless Filipinos or at risk of being stateless? Kakaawan man kung di nakapag-aral, kung walang resources, no? And they're mostly out at sea. Sa may tawi-tawi yan, no? Tawi-tawi, Sulu. Oo. So, kailangan mag-reach out kasi Pilipino sila.
Yes, they are. They are.
Hindi natin pagtabuyan sa ibang bansa. Pilipino
They're
sila.
not. They're not, Madam Senator. And just to share, our unit is in close coordination with the Indonesian consulate in Davao to do a reciprocal processing of persons of Indonesian descent and persons of Filipino descent. So the RSPPU will process persons of Indonesian descent that will result in them being recognized as Indonesians, and our counterpart from Indonesia will also do the same for Filipino descent. There is a province in Indonesia or an area in Indonesia, Madam Senator, I just forget the area where it is. But there is a handful or a number of persons of Filipino descent that have not yet secured their registration, their Filipino registration documents.
Ilan, last question and then I have to go to my next hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your patience. Ilan ang stateless persons na sa jurisdiction natin?
Right now, Madam Senator, we don't have any state. Well, the sum but the numbers, Your Honor. I will base this, Your Honor, on the 2022 figures coming from the UNHCR report, and that is around 12 to 15,000.
Wow. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor, at risk.
At risk. They are at risk because, I don't know, they're still Filipinos.
They are, Your Honor. They are Filipinos, but because, for example, if you go to a public hospital, you want to avail of certain services covered under PhilHealth,
Yeah.
the very first requirement is, are you a Filipino? They do not have any document to
Kaawa
prove that.
naman. Sinong ahensya ng gobyerno? Kayo ang dapat mangalaga doon para bigyan sila ng documentation? Mag-reach out tayo?
Baka po PSA, madam?
PSA.
Baka po PSA po.
PSA.
PSA, Your Honor, will be the lead agency for that with support coming from us.
Bigyan nyo kami ng memo kung anong dapat gawin.
We will, Madam Senator.
15,000 na Pilipino. Nakakasakit.
Yan yung mga issue with yung mga Filipinos in Sabah. Diba na pinanganak sila doon, pero hindi pa rin sila accepted doon, binalik sila dito. I remember when I went to Zamboanga, may mga ilan cases tayo ganyan in a shelter, ma'am. I remember talking to them, but di na sila marunong mag-Tagalog eh. No? So, but hindi naman sila Malaysian, hindi naman sila pinanganak dito. So, how do we, ano yung ganun na situation? Hindi nga. Kasi,
Mr. Chair, the issue with Sabah is a bit more complicated than the ones involving the other at risk of statelessness, because there is a territorial claim there involved, and the DOJ together with the DFA is closely discussing on how to resolve the issue involving Filipinos in Sabah.
I don't know if you can answer this here or maybe through an executive session, but there are individuals, no, who were deported from Sabah to the Philippines. Ano ang treatment nila? I remember encountering some of them in Zamboanga City. May shelter tayo doon, Secretary. No, anong treatment? If you can, I know that there is a territorial dispute issue dito, no, but for purposes of addressing those individuals, no, who were deported from Sabah and now in the Philippines, particularly in Zamboanga, ano sila? Filipino sila? Malaysian sila? How do we treat them?
Apologies, Mr. Chair, I would have to look into that particular matter you mentioned about those Filipinos that were deported from Sabah. First time that I have heard of that. But if based on the law alone, if these people can trace their lineage to a Filipino parent under the 1987 Constitution, then they would be considered Filipinos. It's just now a question of whether they have the actual birth registration documents to prove such a fact. Mindful also of this claim, mindful of the claim civil registry. Because if it were to be issued by the foreign civil registry, then that may end up being a recognition of the authority over that foreign entity to register births of Filipinos.
And I won't discuss this in detail, no, but I just want to bring this up to the department, particularly Attorney Chan, who I believe is handling this issue. Pero meron ako na-encounter na ganun. I don't know kung dumadami, I don't know kung kumukonte, but I remember going to a shelter, government-run shelter in Zamboanga and meeting some of those individuals. Ang explanation sa akin nung social worker, they're Filipinos, their parents, but their parents or grandparents are Filipinos who went to Sabah, pinanganak na sila doon, but may mga cases, may mga crackdowns rin doon, binabalik sila dito. Unfortunately, hindi na rin sila marunong magtagalog, no. Yun tingin ko stateless talaga. Ang probably maybe kung anong maybe Malaysian or some hindi ko alam kung anong language sa Sabah, no? But yun talagang stateless kasi pagbalik nila dito wala silang passport, wala silang birth certificate, no? So anyways, but just take a look at that issue.
We will, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
According to the DFA, there are 770,000 Filipinos in Sabah, 550,000 of whom are undocumented as of February 2024. Diba? Kakaawa. Diba? Pero undocumented nga. Oo. Anyway, I leave it at that. I have to go to my hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Senator JV for yielding. Yes, I give my support to the DOJ family and especially and all the agencies need. Marami pang dapat tunin pero may hearing ako sa kabila. Sige, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lauren. We now recognize Senator JV.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few questions to the agencies that we have supplemented with the additional budget before. But first, I'd like to ask our OIC Secretary Frederick Vida. We just noticed received 1.525 billion in confidential funds for the current year due to congressional intervention.
Yes.
However, for fiscal year 2026, ano na lang to, it substantially decreased to 364.84. How would this significantly change the confidential fund allocation of OSEC proper?
Well, for purposes, basically, pag tiningnan po natin, Your Honor, yung 2026 proposed CF or confidential fund, it's restoring back yung 2024 and 2023. There were confidential activities basically mandated to the past secretary that has basically been already done. So basically, we're restored back to our original confidential fund levels. So kung maapektuhan po, unless may makita po kaming iba, we don't think na it will hamper our operations. We will be able still to fulfill our mandate, Your Honor.
But I understand that's very important. No?
Yes.
It's DOJ is one of the departments or agencies that we allow confidential fund. Kahit na nung height nung controversy about the confidential funds, because it is very essential in your the performance of your
Yes, opo.
duties, no? Lalo na sa mga sa witness protection.
Yes, opo.
Tsaka won't this affect all of this? Hindi naman makaka-apekto ito. Yung drastic yung change, no?
Yeah, I don't think it will, but there are mechanisms to augment and under the existing joint memorandum circular between DBM and the COA. So if need be, we will just make. But for now, we foresee that there will be no change, or we will still be able to fulfill our mandate, Your Honor.
Kasi yung
Thank you
mga
very much
assets,
for the.
Of course, yung mga assets nyo and lahat
Opo.
are usually charged under this, no? Yung mga confidential funds.
Yes,
And
yes.
given your role as the primary force investigator at lahat,
Opo.
kailangan po natin to. Just wanted to
Opo,
make sure kasi medyo
ang
malaki.
meron lang po kaming request, Your Honor, is the additional request from our Witness Protection Program. It's another 192 million for which was not considered sa age gap. We requested in the earlier hearings before House, but unfortunately it was not. If that can be placed, we will include that in our
Requests.
request in our endorsement.
199 million for witness protection
Yes.
programs.
190.
Anyway, that's the reason why we really
190.
have this
Yes.
committee hearings para
Opo.
po yung mga, there are programs that are really essential but are not approved for some reason by the Department of Budget. Hindi po na-include ng DBM sa NEP, no? So,
Opo. If
so
I may,
in case this will be approved, I hope that this will be treated as a good amendment.
yes.
Lagi kami na allergic na kami sa insertion eh. But there are really here in the Senate we're proud yung mga insertion or amendment as we call it are really needed, no? And are institutional, mostly institutional. Sige, we'll take note of that, no? And then our chair is here listening, you know, yung 199 million for witness protection program. With the Bureau of Corrections, siguro si General Katapang, our director, I remember if I remember it right during the first budget hearing under Secretary Boying Remulla, one of the major projects dapat yung mega prison natin, no, because of the state of and the situation of the Bilibid now, dapat ito yung galagay sa Mindoro, tama no?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
And then it's supposedly 5 billion pesos, supposedly. Yun na ba yung cost? I think, if I remember right, kasi 2020 to 2023 budget yata yun, 5 billion for the construction of the mega prison facility.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. The request was 6 billion.
6 billion.
And then Senate initially provided 200, but it was never augmented because during the session it was discussed during the plenary that if funds are made available, the remaining balance of about 5 billion plus will be provided.
But you would still, of course, because of given the situation now, yung overcapacity ng congestion, and also yung nandun na rin napakahirap na rin i-maintain ng Bilibid ngayon because it's already surrounded, no? Na yung ang hirap ng tanggalin yung yung mga kalokohan doon dahil nga nandun na rin mismo yung community is there. So do you still of course, I'm sure that you will still endorse that kung kayang matuloy to, you would still pursue.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, with the permission of our Secretary, we will request for about 6 billion as planned because this is really needed for us to ensure that the congestion will be addressed in Muntinlupa.
Well, this is I think we really have to act on this because ang sabi nga ang national congestion rate is if correct me if it's 242.32%, no? And Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm and Davao Prison Penal Farm are the most congested with a congestion rate of 617%. Tama ho ba itong mga figures na to?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Nakakalungkot na kasi kung because of these floodgate scandals, given the amounts of projects that were wasted, sayang itong 6 billion kung nasimulan natin kahit konti-konti nagawa na. No? Kahit tinapyasan lang natin itong mga nilustay ng mga iilan, natapos sana, no? So, but we will see. We'll see. Anyway, the President said yung 250 billion will be realigned mostly for ayud, mga social programs, no? But we're hoping that it can be used for some infrastructure projects yung talagang mga kailangan talaga. So we'll see. So 6 billion pa, no? And this will be multi-year. Ano po ang what will be the capacity again?
I think we will be able with that amount to close down the minimum or medium medium security compound, which is about 6,000 PDLs, because per capita cost is about that much, to transfer, to relocate and transfer these PDLs to better facilities outside Metro Manila.
Okay, thank you for that information. Kasi naanak ko lang kasi that was 2022 yung unang budget natin dito pagbalik for 2023. Kaya lang, unfortunately, hindi na pursue. Pero nakakapanghinayang lang. If it was just 5-6 billion, wala yun sa katiting ng mga
Yeah.
nilustay dito. No?
Yeah, Mr.
Ng
Chair,
mga-
Your Honor.
Ng mga loko dito
Yeah, because
sa
you passed a law, RA 11928, which is the supermax, and it was decided by Senate that, and former Secretary Boying Remulla, to put the supermax in Mindoro. So that initial amount of 6 billion was really earmarked.
Pero multi-year naman yan, hindi naman natin kaya
Multi-year
lahat.
yan, sir. That's ang total for to put up the supermax is about 40 billion. So we just jump-start it so that slowly we transfer the maximum security compound to Mindoro.
Okay, thank you, Jer Katapang. I will go to Director Jimmy Santiago. Will take advantage. Judge Jimmy of NBI. Of course, yung pong anti-cybercrime is very important. Very, yan ang kalaban po natin ngayon, online. That's why we want to strengthen or augment yung pong budget. Palakasin po natin anti-cybercrime cooperation. Given the increasing volume and sophistication of online scams, hacking incidents, cyber attacks targeting both government, private institutions, how much is allocated by the agency for its anti-cybercrime operations?
Currently, 5 million lang ang nakaalat na budget, Your Honor. Kaya naghihingi po kami ng additional sana. Apo.
This year to 2025 is only 5 billion that was approved.
Yes, sir. Actually, yung nai-grant na sa amin dapat last year ay nabalik po kami sa 2024 budget. Kaya ito po, nanghihingi kami na additional na 460,164,000 para po yun sa aming 4 na projects.
We'll go to the details later, no? So 400 po, 400 for the cybercrime unit.
Kasama na po yun, but ito po ay restoration of hazard duty pay, request for additional allocation for strengthening the national security and intelligence operation. Doon po. Tapos, augmentation ng insurance expenses and construction of an office in Lucena, Your Honor.
Sige, we'll just get the details, no? Pero we're more interested talaga do sa strengthening and improvement ng anti-cybercrime, considering that yearly we have a lot of scams, cyber attacks, and mga online, mga hacking that happens. So we want NBI, PNP cybercrime, of course the ICT. Yan yung yan yung the new and clear and present danger kasi online na po halos lahat. So please give us in detail so that we can study and we'll see what we can andito naman ang chair natin so that we can digest and see what we can give, no, to improve the cybercrime.